What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So what is Congress doing? What are they doing in the House right now? I want to show you guys this article. We're going to talk about this because the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, and I'll explain what they are and why they're there, they're giving us a warning. They're letting us know that this whole debt ceiling debate that we're hearing a lot about, this is going to be detrimental to our economy. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here. So by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. Okay, before we get started, I do want to make a correction to one of the comments that was posted. And this comment was basically saying that the CPI score was 0.5 year to year. And that's not true. It's 0.5% month to month. So from December to January, that's the 0.5%, and it's an increase. Now that's not good because we saw the CPI score go down a little bit when it comes to month. Now we're seeing it start to go back up. However, the overall CPI score was 6.4%. That's overall. We're not looking at the categories. We're just looking at the overall number. So I just wanted to make that correction. I saw someone post that in the comments. And I just want to make sure you guys understand what we're talking about when we're talking about year to year and then month to month. Okay, let's go ahead. I want to pull this article up. This is from CNBC. Now, this is a dire warning coming from the CBO. Now, CBO is a Congressional Budget Office. They basically look into bills to see if they're viable, or they'll look into certain things to see. They'll make estimates when it comes to the debt ceiling and when it comes to how much debt we will accrue in 10 years. And they're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So this is the headline here. It says, U.S. will default this summer unless Congress raises debt limit, CBO warns. And so we already kind of knew that this summer is when things need to happen. So that they're just confirming that for us and letting us know that if we don't do anything by summer, we're looking at a default, or they're going to have to not pay some of the bills, delay payment, and then we'll get to a point where you can delay payment only for so long, and then you're just going to default. And so that's what we're looking at. Right now, we've already defaulted right now. However, Treasury Secretary Yellen said that they're going to have to take extraordinary measures, and that's what they're doing right now. So they're taking money from different investments, and they're paying our bills. But by this summer, that's when that's all going to run out, and we won't have any more money to pay our bills. And so that's why this debt ceiling talk needs to be, sooner than later, they need to raise the debt ceiling. And we're going to talk about that at the end of this video. But let's look at this article. I just want to take a look at a couple of key points here. And here's one of them. The CBO also revised its projection for the size of the annual federal budget deficit. Over the next decade, the agency now believes the deficit will total $18.8 trillion over the next 10 years, a figure that is 20% higher than the agency's estimate last May of $15.7 trillion. So basically they're saying we're going to add an additional $18 trillion onto our debt if we go about the same way that we're going now, if we spend about the same way we're spending now. Now, of course, we had to tie in the pandemic and all that. We spent a little more during the pandemic. And so they're taking that under consideration. But yes, something needs to be done. I think both sides, both Democrats and Republicans, can agree that we need to start bringing down our debt. But do you use the debt ceiling in order to make that happen? Or do you go ahead and raise the debt ceiling, which I think that's what they should do, raise the debt ceiling, and then you can address a budget? Because when it comes down to it, Congress controls the purse. So Speaker McCarthy, though he's talking about we need to have a budget, we need to have a budget. Guess what? He's the perfect person to create a budget because he controls the purse. Both he and the leader of the Senate, they control the money. And so he can easily draw something up on his own and move that forward. You don't have to have the president involved in this because the president comes in the back end. Okay, so when you hear these politicians saying, well, we need to do this and we're going to do this and we need to negotiate with the White House and all this, the reality is they don't need to negotiate with the White House. What Speaker McCarthy wants to do, and what I think he's trying to do in this situation, is he doesn't want to be the only bad guy. Because cuts need to be made. And guess what? When you start cutting things, people are going to say, well, yeah, we need to make cuts. We need to bring down our deficit. But then when they start to realize the things that are being cut, that's when they start getting upset. And so he doesn't want to be the lone bad guy in this situation. That's why he's trying to bring in the White House and bring in some other people so he can say, okay, yeah, this is what we have to do. And it's not just me, it's the White House, it's the Senate, the leadership in the Senate. They're all on board to do this. So that's his strategy, I think. But when it comes to the debt ceiling, and I've talked about this time and time again, when it comes to the debt ceiling, they need to raise the debt ceiling now. The fact that they're waiting right now is not good. It's not a good sign because it's showing businesses that we don't know what we're doing. Congress doesn't know if they're going to raise the debt ceiling or not. And so let's say you have a corporation right now that's thinking about hiring more people. Well, they're gonna think, maybe we shouldn't do anything right now because they haven't raised the debt ceiling. If they don't raise the debt ceiling or we default in any way, that's going to tank our economy. So you'll have some corporations that are looking at this and saying, we're not going to make any decisions until after they decide what they're going to do with the debt ceiling. And so this is hurting our economy even more, the fact that they're not even moving on it. Even though we haven't gotten to the point now where we're completely defaulting and not paying our bills, it's still affecting our economy because businesses are not looking to expand because there's already talk of a recession. So we might hit a recession and then we might also default on our debt and drop into a deep recession. And so this is not helpful. This is not helpful. And this is unfortunate, but there could be some politicians out there that are using this as a strategy to make our economy tank. Because now it looks like with just looking at inflation is starting to come down. It's not going down fast, but it's still starting to come down. And you could have some politicians looking at this and saying, well, by 2024, we want a bad economy because if we have a bad economy in 2024, we can run on that. And we can say we need to vote for a Republican for president because the economy is bad. And so in some ways, it's counterproductive that we have Democrats and Republicans and they're fighting against each other. And one side is hoping that our economy is bad, even though that's going to hurt the American people and a lot of people will lose their jobs. But they don't care. They want it to be a bad economy so they can run on that bad economy. And so that could be a strategy for some politicians. So they might be thinking, okay, let's hold this, let's wait and not do anything for as long as possible. And then at the last minute, go ahead and raise the debt ceiling and then we'll move forward. Or some of them might say, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling. We're not going to vote to raise the debt ceiling at all. We're going to just default on our loans. And when it comes to creating some type of a budget, it was all just a ploy just so we can make our economy tank. And you might think that that's really harsh and cruel, but I would not put it past some politicians. There are some politicians out there that want our economy to tank, and they were hoping that inflation would be that driver. And the fact that they're raising interest rates now, we would be in a situation where everything will just tank and we'll go into a deep recession, and they can run on that. They can either run on a deep recession or they can run on the fact that inflation is too high. So those are the two strategies that I think you have some politicians out there trying to use. And so it's a really dirty game, as you guys can see. And the reason that I like to talk about these things is because I want you to know really what's going on. So you don't think, okay, in the summertime, debt ceiling, what's going on with this debt ceiling? Just remember, they started talking about this last year. In December, they started talking about it. And now in January and February, they continue to talk about it. They're going to wait. They're going to wait until June or July to make a decision to move on the debt ceiling. But we have all this time in between where businesses are really not going to try to invest more into their companies because of this fact. And we're already seeing it. We saw it in the banking industry. I just posted a video yesterday talking about this very situation where banks are saying, look, right now we're not going to do anything. We're not hiring anyone. Some banks are saying we're just going to let people retire normally and we're not going to backfill those positions or anything like that. And so this is not a good sign. This is definitely not a good sign. The hope is that politicians will move forward as soon as possible. What do you guys think about this? Do you think Congress is playing a game? Do you think Republicans are playing a game and they want our economy to tank so they can run on a bad economy? Let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.